What's up guys, Sio here with week 11 of the NES. This week we are taking on TK, coach of the Queensland Komalas. We already have playoffs wrapped up, so the next couple of weeks are going to be pretty chill, which is kind of convenient because I have a lot of work to do at my job. So the teams are going to be a little bit more of just fun teams for the next couple of weeks of stuff that I wanted to try out or stuff that just happens to work well. I will still definitely be trying to win all of these games because I want better seeding and I want a better differential, but we've already made playoffs, and honestly the wins probably don't really matter. It's basically just going to change if we're 3rd seed or 4th seed, unless, no, I think we're actually locked into 3rd seed and 4th seed now. But anyway, I have Mega Lot Penny with Fake Out, Ice Punch, Return, and Healing Wish. Healing Wish is there to basically kill myself if I want to, and then bring whoever I switch into back up to full and remove their status or anything. I have a couple of interesting sweepers and Pokemon that help me out this week, so it's possible to go for. Next up is Cofagrigus with a Colbur Berry to be able to just take a knockoff or something. With Trick Room, Nasty Plot, Psychic, and Shadow Ball. I noticed that she didn't have anything that undersped Cofagrigus, and it actually has a pretty good matchup this game. The only thing I needed to look out for was Heliolisk, which didn't come, and I had to make sure that I didn't normal spam if Mega Pidgeot was here, or I didn't go spam if Mega Pidgeot was here, but Mega Pidgeot didn't come either. So Cofagrigus basically just goes ham once it actually gets an opportunity to set up. Next up we have Cryogonal with Icium Z, Ancient Power, Ice Beam, Hidden Power Ground, and Recover. It's pretty offensive and pretty speedy to be able to outspeed basically everything but a Choice Scarf Landorus. Oh, and the EVs for Lopunny and Cofagrigus aren't really worth noting, so I didn't really mention them. Kind of the same thing with Cryogonal. It's basically just offensive with max special attack, pretty much max speed, and everything else was HP. Ancient Power is there pretty much specifically to hit Avalugg. It also works fairly well against Ribombee, but I'll probably just go for Sub-Zero Slammer or something if I have to. Icium Z, by the way, just kind of works pretty well against her team, generally speaking. She does have 3 Ice Resists on this team, actually, but for the other 3 things, it hits it very, very, very hard. So I just wanted to run Icium Z, Ice Beam. I had Blizzard on there, but I figured Ice Beam was probably better for all the times I wasn't trying to go for Sub-Zero Slammer. Next up we have Shukaberry Lantern with Ion Deluge, Volt Switch, Ice Beam, and Hydro Pump. Ion Deluge is kind of the weird move on that set, I guess, but basically it turns normal type moves into electric type moves. I was planning on using Lantern as pretty much a hard counter to Heliolisk. I would be able to use Ion Deluge and spam it so she couldn't Volt Switch, and she also couldn't Hyper Voice me, leaving her to basically spam like Dark Pulse or something against me, which isn't really going to do that much, or just switch out. I do have enough speed to outspeed Jolly max speed Alola and Marowak on Lantern. It was pretty unlikely that that happened, but you never know. Darmanitan's Choice Scarf set, Flare Blitz, EQ, U-Turn, and Encore to be able to lock Landorus into Swords Dance if it's an SD or Dual Dance set, and she goes for Swords Dance first, I guess. Max attack, max speed. I'm Jolly to be able to speed tie with a modest Scarf Heliolisk, which I thought was kind of interesting. They happen to have the same exact speed when Darmanitan's Jolly and Heliolisk is modest. And finally, Rocky Helmet, Skarmory, Blitz, Spadef, max HP, max Spadef. Stealth Rocks, Whirlwind, Brave Bird, and Roost, basically meant to get Stealth Rocks up because their team's pretty weak to it, and then just Hazard, not Hazard, Shifter team around, I guess. So I was going to lead Lopunny this week, but I figured it was pretty obvious, and I thought Landorus was a pretty obvious lead for her. So I'm actually going to lead Cryogonal, as weird as it is. It's not really like a great lead against most of her team, and as you're going to see here, she actually leads Alola and Marowak, which makes it even worse. And quick side note before we get into the battle, all of her Pokemon are named after my Colby Jacks that are my Magikarps from Magikarp Jump. If you have not played Magikarp Jump yet, I highly recommend it because it is going to steal your life. Don't know why that game's as fun as it is, but it is. Anyway, as you can see, my team doesn't really fare super well against Alola and Marowak. Both of my walls are, or both my physical walls, I guess I should say, are weak to its stabs. and she basically has free reign to go for one or the other here and do a ton of damage to my entire team. I could be very, very like hyper aggressive and go into Lopunny predicting the Shadow Bone, or I could go very aggressive and go Darmanitan predicting like a Flare Blitz or something. But the safe middle ground here, and the only thing that can guaranteed take a hit from this thing unless it's like adamant max attack, and she gets a high roll, I think. I can go into Lantern here and take a hit, barely, but I can take a hit. I could have been aggressive and gone into Lopunny and gotten a fake out and at least done some damage to this thing, but I decided not to. Lopunny matches up fairly well against her team, and this didn't really feel like the right time to bring it in. So I'm going to go for a Shadow Bone here, or I'm not going to go for a Shadow Bone, I'm going to take a Shadow Bone here, and it's at this point that nothing on her team really wants to take a Hydro Pump. There are things that can take a Hydro Pump, but really nothing actually like enjoys taking a Hydro Pump, I guess. So I'm going to go for it here. I'm also, like I said, max speed, or not max speed, but faster than a max speed Marowak. So she did make that tech to be able to outspeed and just be able to kill like even a regular Lantern or something. Surprise, I counter crept, I guess. I catch her off guard. I actually land a Hydro Pump, which is awesome. I wasn't really expecting to be able to land it. And Marowak drops, which is cool. Like I've kind of been alluding to, a Marowak was pretty scary for my team this week, so being able to have it drop right away was nice. She goes Scolipede here. I happen to have one of the best Scolipede answers like in the game in Skarmory, so there's really no reason for me not to go Skarmory. Basically every time Scolipede comes in, I can just go to Skarmory for free. Like the absolute worst thing that Scolipede could do to me is Rock Slide, I think. Unless it's some like really weird like special one with like HP Fire or something. I don't even know Scolipede's special attack, so I don't even know if that's like remotely feasible, but point of the story is nothing can touch Skarmory like at all, and I can get rocks up. She goes for Earthquake, which is nice. A little surprising because I could have also gone Cryogonal there and taken it, but whatever. I'm just gonna get rocks up here, even though she's gonna Baton Pass here. I have Whirlwind on this set, and I'm still at Sturdy, and like I said, there's nothing Skarmory can do, or there's nothing Scolipede can do to Skarmory to be able to do it any kind of significant damage whatsoever. So even if she did stay in and attack, or like just Rock Slide spam and like get flinch after flinch after flinch or something, eventually I would be able to roost it off. There's really no way, or to my knowledge at least, that Scolipede can beat Skarmory, so it's like one of the freest switches of all time. I'm gonna Whirlwind here as she knocks off my Rocky Helmet, so at least I actually get to do a little bit of damage to this Landorus. It brings in Lucario, I guess I should say. And here I'm trying to figure out like what Lucario set this is, so I'm actually just gonna go ahead and sack Lantern. I don't really love sacking Pokemon, but right there I just got a ton of information, so I'm pretty okay with it. First things first, this is obviously a special Lucario. Not really that surprising in my opinion, since Lucario's special attack is higher than its physical attack. It just kind of has a better physical move pool than it does a special one. Also shoutouts if you heard my girlfriend burping on camera. I don't know if you did or not. But anyway, so it's a special Lucario and it has a Life Orb. The Life Orb is more important damage to me, or more important information to me, because that means that DK definitely outspeeds. So I'm going to go into DK, and TK now has to figure out what to do, because there's nothing on her team that wants to take a Fire Punch, or sorry, Flare Blitz. I actually did bring Flare Blitz this week. So I'm just going to click Flare Blitz because it's a 2-hit KO on everything. She decides to sack Lucario, which I thought was kind of interesting. It makes Cryogonal a little bit better, but I guess it didn't really do very much outside of that. So I can kind of understand there, I guess, and she probably just wanted the free switch. So she gets the free switch into Landorus. There's really no reason for me to stay in, so I'm just going to go into Skarmory to try to take whatever. She gets a Stone Edge crit, which is kind of actually unfortunate, because if she lands and gets another crit, then that means Skarmory's dead. So kind of freaking out here a little bit, if I'm being perfectly honest. She lands another Stone Edge, doesn't get the crit luckily, and I roost. If she got the crit there, this game probably would have actually been a little bit different. But since there's also nothing that Landorus can do to Cofagrigus, I decided to actually switch there after I got the roost off. A Stone Edge was only doing like 30% or something maybe. So I thought this might be a good time to just go in, set up the Trick Room, and then be able to do what I wanted to do. She ended up doubling the Abalug, which is even better because now I can just pretend like I was staying into Rapid Spin block. And it shows leftovers, which I guess isn't really that surprising. So I'm just going to go for a Trick Room here. She interestingly sets up an Iron Defense. I didn't even really know Avalok got that, if I'm honest, but now this thing probably has like absolutely sky high physical defense. Luckily, I'm a special attacker, so I'm actually willing to set up on this thing. So I'm going to actually go for a nasty plot here too. She throws a Toxic on me, which isn't the worst thing in the world. Like obviously Toxic limits my longevity a little bit, but it's not really that bad because I only have Trick Room for another 3 or 2 turns anyway, so now I just get to spam Shadow Ball at +2 and pretty much outspeed her team. Surprisingly, Rabombi actually takes this. I was floored by that. I don't know if she was like a really like well invested Rabombi. It ends up dropping anyway, but I don't know if she was really invested, but that did cost me a turn of Trick Room, which means that I get 1 less kill. Obviously Avalug just drops because Avalug's special defense is like 40 or something, I think. So it obviously wasn't going to take a +2. She goes into Scolipede here, so again, I just decided to go back into Skarmory. She goes for Earthquake again. I'm just going to Roost back up to full and then just Whirlwind between these two. But Skarmory's pretty much just hard walling her team at this point. There's not really too much that she can do besides hope for crits and just hope that it eventually kills. I'm just going to basically Roost up and just keep Whirlwinding for a bit, so I'm just going to let this fast forward a bit. She starts going for Mega Horns to try to get damage on me when I'm on the ground, which is a good call because of her speed boost, I'll pretty much always be slower than her. I eventually actually show the Brave Bird just to kill it off, just in the interest of saving time. I could have actually just stayed in here and Whirlwinded and Brave Birded and stuff, and Skarmory could have just walled and it could have been a 5-0. But I actually decided that I wanted Lopunny to get this kill because it's getting closer in the MVP rankings, and I wanted a Lopunny kill. It's a little cheap, but whatever. It's the only time I've done that this season, so I don't really feel too bad about it. So it ends up being a pretty commanding 4-0, I guess I would say, mainly because my walls were just too much for her team. I got a little lucky with my team prep, if I'm being perfectly honest. I was pretty weak from what I noticed to Heliolisk and Bruxish, both of which she's used very well, and both of which didn't come, so a little bit fortunate on my part that I happened to kind of leave myself weak accidentally to stuff that just didn't end up coming. It was a good battle by TK because I feel like she played well. I just feel like she didn't really have the team matchup this week, at least in terms of the team that I brought versus the team that she bought. I am running out of things to say, I guess. I meant to have the Magikarp jump art up, but maybe I'll try to do that in post and just slap it on here. If I remember, I'll try to do that because that was cool art. But yeah, good game, TK. I think I unfortunately actually knocked her out of the playoffs with this game, which kind of sucks. But given her 5-game win streak this season, I don't really doubt that she'll be back next season. Next week, we take on the Nottingham Forest Curse again, again coached by Wordfell. It should be a fun game. Our last one was actually pretty close, as the game where I decided to remind you guys that I was battling on my way to Santa Cruz like 10 different times. I hopefully won't be in the car on my way to Santa Cruz this time. But yeah, quick video I guess this week, and I guess I will see you guys next week. Bye.